We live in such a world that is still extremely hustle culture. And even in the entrepreneur world, I believe I just see it everywhere that it's just becoming the new 9 to 5. It's just becoming the new masculine way of becoming successful. And there's such a strive and hunger for people to become rich and to have and accumulate all this material wealth. Now, women are built very differently to men, and some men can live in this hustle culture of getting up at 5 a.m. and keep on going, and eventually they'll burn themselves out a lot easier than women. Women have a lot more of a delicate system, if you like. We have a lot more complex hormonal system, and if we are operating in this way, we will burn out. And so maybe you can resonate with my story that I'm about to share, trusting that it may spark some encouragement in the way that I've actually been able to turn my life around after experience extreme burnout. And once I started to follow my joy and my soul's alignment and my soul's path, and not listen to other people around me or do what everyone else is telling me to do, then as soon as I started to do that, then things started to shift for me and everything started to calm in my nervous system. Back in my early 30s, I'll never forget the day. I remember it so clearly. I woke up one morning and I physically could not move. I'd never experienced anything like it. And if you've ever experienced chronic fatigue, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'd never experienced fatigue. I'd been tired. I'd experienced insomnia for years before this and years after that. So I knew what tired felt like. But this was completely different. This one day, I'll never forget it. I woke up and I couldn't even lift a finger. I couldn't get in a shower. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't do anything. This went on for years. And I had no idea what was going on. And I had no idea about holistic health and nutritional health at this stage of my life, but it did drive me forward into researching so much about the health of the body at a cellular level, because fast forwarding a little bit, the doctors had absolutely no good conclusion to give me. They had no idea what was happening. Doctors, I really believe, are a complete waste of time. Some of them are good. Disclaimer, some of them are waking up to the truth of actual real cellular health, but the majority are still set in the old mindset and the old earth of medicine. I was then thrown into the direction that I had to heal myself. Bearing in mind I couldn't even move. I missed out on so much work. And prior to that, I had been working my ass off and doing the whole hustle culture, essentially, in my world, in London, and working non-stop, barely without, with not that much sleep. Keep going. I was like on this treadmill, and eventually my body gave in. And it was, wow, I'm talking like 7-8 years. Even now I still experience sometimes just mild fatigue, but it's very rare compared to what it was back then. And it wasn't until I started to recognize that this is not the way I can keep living. And once I'd learned about adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue and what causes it, and a number of reasons of what causes it. There's many videos on chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue and burnout. If you want to research them, there's hundreds and thousands of videos on that subject on YouTube. With my experience, I missed out on so much work. I missed out on so much life. And aside that, I also had a string of health problems as well, like digestive issues. Everything goes out of whack when you've got adrenal fatigue and burnout. I'd been living in such a masculine way that I had to ask myself some really deep questions. And I wasn't living in my soul's alignment at all with what I was doing, the work I was doing in London. I wasn't even in my soul's alignment being in London, in fact, because being in London is extremely busy. It's a huge city. I'm a very sensitive person, and maybe you can resonate with that if you're a very sensitive person too. Cities are very highly energetic and very dense in their energy now and their vibration. And as a sensitive being, I really struggled actually in London energetically. But that wasn't just the reason as to why I created fatigue, it was mostly because of the way I was living and my mindset, and the way my mind was always in overdrive, always thinking about what I should be doing, what I should be achieving, where I should be at this point in my life, etc. Now, it wasn't until I really delved deep into spirituality and health and healing. And by the way, I missed out on so much life and work in this time, but I do believe in the soul's true divine path. And I believe that this is what my soul was driving me to do in order to heal myself at a deep cellular level, and not only to help myself but to help other people as well, in what I then ended up creating a coaching business a few years ago in this topic that worked well, actually, and it went well. And at that point I was still dealing and managing chronic fatigue at the same time. So I want to fast forward a little bit. In my whole of my 30s basically were devoted to my health and getting better, and I mentioned that in my very first video. And it wasn't until I really tuned in to my soul's true desire and started to recognize that my mind was one of the biggest causes of the overdrive in my nervous system. My nervous system was in fight or flight. It had been in fight or flight since I was about 12. And it wasn't until I started to really, really recognize this and start acting on it in terms of meditation, relaxing my body with yoga nidra, eating really calming foods. And I follow quite a strong Ayurvedic diet, which is reducing the air in the body. But I changed absolutely everything. And I spent thousands and thousands on healing modalities and supplements and things to change and help myself, because, like I say, the doctors weren't there to help me. There was no one there at the end of the day, we're here to heal ourselves. We can't rely on anyone else. We cannot rely on doctors. And I will never listen to a doctor ever again, unless they're a holistic practicing doctor and they have the mind and spirit and the whole holistic picture in place. Because anyway, like I say, that's a story or a discussion for another time. But I am grateful for this journey, because what happened is it made me extremely knowledgeable about the body and the mind and the spirit and the soul and our purpose here on planet Earth. And it wasn't until I stopped caring so much about what should be expected of me, and started following what my soul truly wanted to do, live a life of freedom, create my own financial autonomy on my own terms and passively, as well as manually, multiple streams of income, etc. It wasn't until I was doing the things I loved every single day and doing it in a very soft approach. So I don't get up at 5 a.m., for example. I don't even set an alarm. I get up when my body wakes up. I don't ever set an alarm unless I've got something big I need to do, or if I've got a flight to catch. But even when I book a flight, I will book a flight later in the day, purely for the same reason. Why would I cut my precious deep sleep short just so I can get up early and do the whole hustle culture thing? No, all I do is I shift my life so I end up working later in the day, and that works good for me. I still have a lot of breaks in the day. I still do the things I love, and I still relax, and I still get my work done. My body just works a lot better like that. And I do understand that people, especially if you're doing a 9 to 5, I understand that may not be an option for you, but it's just the way I've programmed and created my life in order for me to be able to do that. I struggled with insomnia for 20 years. From when I was 16, over 20 years, I was still struggling with insomnia up until last year. Why am I sharing this? Because it links back into what I was just telling you about the reason I allow my body to wake up when I want it, when it wants to, and when it's ready. Is because now I've only just discovered how to rest properly and sleep, really, after 20 years of really struggling. I do not want to cut that short with an alarm, because I still feel like my body and my brain is still healing. When you've gone through years of burnout and chronic stress and nervous system burnout in fight or flight, it takes years to rebuild the nervous system. Years. And I also started to learn that this path to success and the journey of creating a life on your own terms and doing what you love, it can only be done when you're in a calm parasympathetic nervous system, calm rest and digest state of being. And when you're in alignment and when you're in a place of peace and calm and stillness, you won't get creative ideas or find clarity in what it is you're here to do unless you're in a place of calm parasympathetic nervous system state of being. When we try and force and we pressure ourselves into trying to achieve in a masculine way, in a very structured and orderly way, quite often we block our own creativity and expansion, and we're doing things through the ego rather than the soul and the heart, which is our truth, which is the true path for our soul's direction, true direction. So when we're operating through ego, through striving, through forcing, through pushing, we tend to block our own success, or what happens is we end up burning out quicker because we are not following our truth of our soul and our joy. And we're essentially or potentially doing things to please other people or trying to impress other people. What I want to invite you to do is really look into what you are doing in your life and see where you're maybe burning out or operating in a way that feels masculine or going against the natural flow of nature. And if you're going against the natural flow of nature in your soul, you'll either feel stressed, burnt out, fatigued, exhausted, stressed, frustrated. All of these things are your soul's clear direction that you're not going in the path of least resistance. I do believe that we should follow the path of least resistance, but I still think if we're going and stepping outside our comfort zone, there is going to be some resistance that we still need to break through. So I'm not fully adhering to that statement, I don't fully adhere to that statement that we should always follow the path of least resistance, but I think that we should follow the path of the most joy. With regards to continuing into my story, like I say, it wasn't only until I started to allow my body the rest and the relaxation and allow myself rest. It was 20 years of stress, of not knowing what I was doing, giving myself a hard time every time I needed to rest. I couldn't rest. I've never been able to nap. Now I can. And I think it's important to allow yourself to nap if you have the ability or the option to do that. I know some of you may have children, some of you have jobs that don't allow that, and that's totally understandable. If you do have the chance to and you need to allow yourself to rest, I could never nap before, and my mind would always give me a hard time about it. My mind would always say, you're lazy, you're not productive, you're not getting anywhere in your life, you're a failure. If you rest and you sleep now, you're never going to get anywhere. This was my story on repeat for 20 years. Now I no longer do that. I allow myself the rest. I allow myself the ability to nap if I need to. And I do many yoga nidras. My nervous system on a daily basis is now calm. When I wake up in the morning, I let the light into my eyes first thing in the morning, which also stimulates the melatonin so that we sleep later at night. It stimulates the circadian rhythm, and so you're able to fall asleep well at night and get a good night's rest. And I thank God for a brand new, beautiful day. And I'm really grateful for everything around me that I have. And I also visualize what I want in terms of success. And I'm very clear on what I want. Because in this game, and especially if you're into the trading world, you need to have a why. You need to have a clear why and a clear vision. Because if you don't, you will simply walk around in muddy water and you will not succeed. Because unless you have a strong why, you won't have a clear trading plan and you won't have a clear path. And that goes along with everything you're doing in life. Otherwise, you just end up drifting and you don't get to any kind of clear set point. So it's really important to have a very clear why as to why you're doing something. For me, I want to create a great foundation with trading. I want to teach many people about trading, about living a conscious life. I want to create an amazing foundation, not only for myself, but also to help and share and hopefully fund massive projects around the world. That's my why. And I would love to retire my father, and I would love to give my mum back what she's given me, because she has supported me at such a deep level throughout my insane journey that I had in the last 20 years. I owe it to both my parents, and they are both so incredible, and my sister. So I want to fund huge projects, and I want to give back to my family. And for me, that's my why. I also want to build an incredible music studio so that I can do my music, which is my other passion, one of my other passions, with freedom. So these are my whys, and I have them on my wall, and I have them written. I write it down all the time. I visualize it. I'm very clear about what I want. And I think if you've got an idea of what you want to do, and if maybe you're starting out with trading, get very clear of your why. If it's just to make money, then you may struggle in the trading path, because you definitely need a strong why, but you also need a passion in the industry first. Because if you've got no passion, like I've said in previous videos, you will burn out, because it's a very volatile journey and there's a lot of ups and downs. And if you are in it just for the money, you will get so damn frustrated. And I can guarantee that. It's a frustrating journey, especially in your first year, year and a half anyway. And so unless you've got a very strong why and a passion for it, I would advise you to look at other avenues in your life, or just long hold investments in stocks like NASDAQ, S&P 500, or gold, things like that. By the way, this is not financial advice. I'm just saying that that's what I would do if I didn't have a passion in trading and I wanted to form some kind of strong investment plan for my future. As I started to bring more calm into my life and really relax my nervous system and be kinder to myself and speak kinder to myself in loving ways and more accepting ways, this is when more ideas started to flow and more clarity started to come in. My sleep got better, my body got better, my digestive system got better. My hormones became a lot more balanced. More aligned people started to flow into my life, and the people that no longer served me have just drifted away from me, which is totally fine and totally normal and part of the human experience. So I'm just inviting you to look at where you're talking to yourself. How are you operating? Are you operating in a masculine or feminine approach to yourself and your life? Are you allowing yourself the rest when you need it? And by the way, rest is best. Without rest, we cannot achieve. Without rest, we cannot heal our body at a deep cellular level. Where are you eating foods that are nourishing your mind, your brain, your body, and your soul? Where are you not giving yourself the grace of getting yourself a good night's rest? What's your nightly and morning routine like? How are you operating with your day? Are you allowing yourself enough space? Are you allowing yourself enough time in the day to allow yourself calm? Are you creating a really strong why in terms of why you're doing what you're doing? Do you have a very clear plan of what you want in the most soul-aligned way, the most aligned way that feels good for you? Are you allowing joy and pleasure into your life? Are you having times and moments of pleasure and fun in your life where you're just completely letting go of trying to achieve and strive? Especially if you're an entrepreneur. The entrepreneurial world, in my eyes, can be the new 9-to-5. Some people in their 9-to-5s are probably a lot happier than a lot of entrepreneurs. So don't be fooled thinking that the entrepreneur path is the path to pure joy and freedom, because a lot of people who are in the entrepreneur world aren't free. They are living in a way of striving and masculinity in a way that eventually will burn out potentially. So with that being said, I trust that this video has helped you maybe, and you can relate to the story of mine that I've just shared, in the sense of coming from a place of absolute stress for many, many years. Approach your day with calm, with centeredness, with grounding. Get your feet in the earth, meditate, eat well. Surround yourself with high vibrational people. Speak to yourself lovingly. Accept yourself. You don't have to love every part of yourself, but just accepting every part of yourself. And if there's something you don't like, change it. That's what I'm a strong believer. If there's something you don't like in your life, change it. You are fully autonomous in your life. You have the ability to change whatever it is you want. And don't forget how powerful your mind is. Everything that you see around you is a creation of your mind. So what is your environment looking like? Is it conducive to what you're wanting in your life? As you can see, I love sparkly things. I love things that light up my soul. I love nice lighting. I love plants. I live very simply. I don't need a lot of things. I don't need a lot of material things. Again, this comes back to your why. Once I've created the foundation that I want to, I will be diversifying my money not only into investments, but also in big projects to help the world. And that was an alarm to ask me how my vibration is. You can also set an alarm that asks you how your vibration is throughout the day, and just check in with yourself. How are you speaking to yourself? How are you feeling? How is my frequency? Don't forget, the higher your vibration and frequency, the quicker you manifest. So get yourself into optimal yet calm frequency and vibration in the morning every single day. Even if you're nowhere near where you want to be grateful for what you already have, and keep visualizing in the most calm and gentle way what it is you really want to create, and call into your life in the most gentle, feminine, calm, and aligned, soul-driven way. And thank you so much for watching if you've gotten to this far. And I have my free ebook in the link in the description below. If you just want to connect and comment on anything that I've talked about in this video, please feel free to. And I really look forward to connecting with you. And I'm sending you so much love.